So, Mamoudou, congratulations, first of all, and welcome to the global press conference for Jurassic World Dominion. Everybody is very excited to talk to you. They're very impressed with the movie because it is quite extraordinary. So, I
Thank you.
guess I'll just start off with a question for you. I just wanted to know how you got talk a little bit about how you got the opportunity to work on the film and what appealed to you. I can imagine many things, but what appealed to you about it?
Yeah, it was kind of a head scratcher for me as well. It's just one of those out of the blue calls in which my agent was like, "Hey, this director wants to talk with you," and he was like, "It's Colin Trevorrow in regards to the next Jurassic World movie," and I was like, "Wait, "What?" But I met with him, and we had this great 3-hour conversation over lobster rolls somewhere over in Malibu. And I loved the guy, and I saw his movies, loved them, and I also appreciated his intrepid spirit, his just willingness to go beyond, and more than anything else, his collaborative nature. So all those things made me feel like I was in safe hands no matter what.
Well, Nick Barrow says, greetings from Australia. What was that first moment like on set when your character got to interact with the original and legendary trio, Sam, Laura, and Jeff?
Yeah, it was mind blowing. Frightening and just really also ultimately heartwarming because they were so generous and open-hearted and just so incredibly supportive. I mean, everyone in this cast was top to bottom. Everyone was just really supportive and really tried to bring out the best out of each other in a really beautiful way. So yeah, it was a scary, frightening day in the beginning, and it just ended up being just like one of the best days I've ever had on set.
Can you talk a little bit about who Ramsay Cole is? Because he's a really fascinating character.
Yeah, sure. Ramsey, I love Ramsey. I love everything about him. I wish I was a little bit more like him, to be honest. He's just hyper focused, ambitious, incredibly intelligent, and he takes matters into his own hands at every opportunity because there's no room for error, and he really believes in himself and trusts himself, and he's had to answer a lot of questions before the start of the events of the movie, and he's just fully with blinders on, focused on achieving those goals.
Well, following up on that and on something you said a moment ago, Ashley Santiago asks, how was the process of working with Colin to develop your character and make him more layered?
Oh, it's incredible. We had dinner while we were in production, and we started talking about it, and we just talked about it. And Colin, from this conversation, just managed because there was only so much that we could, figure out because the script was being shot. But I don't know how he did it. He's a wizard. Managed to weave in everything that we'd spoken about in this really beautiful and then all together layered way that just created this, to me, very interesting character who is a bit of a cipher initially, but you get to know him as the movie goes on, just in his actions, which I thought spoke louder than words.
Well, speaking of his actions, Stacey Ivy says Ramsay's a very key character in the story. What
Mhm.
was the trickiest, hardest part of creating him?
Well, it was really the off camera stuff in discussing with Colin and seeing like how do these ideas fit in with the structure of the story, because the structure of the story is so tight you don't want to interfere with that. But at the same time, we both agreed that there was something that we could really do that was something special with this character, and yeah, and somehow, credit to Colin, he pulled it off because I was like, here's what I'm thinking. I don't know how you do it.
Peter Gray from the AU Review says, Mamadou, with this being the third movie in a second trilogy of films, how
Mhm.
did it feel coming into essentially two lots of films families already established?
You know what? You would think it would be a lot harder to integrate yourself into a family or two, but they were so welcoming that it just felt like I was already part of the family. Yeah, they just really welcomed with open arms and just as friendly as it gets, and Yeah, I'll really always cherish those days of filming because they really meant a lot to me. It was, terrible times out in the world, but we managed to make what we believe is a really beautiful movie, and hopefully people watch it in theaters and have some kind of inspiration from it.
Tamara Cullen said, "Do you remember watching the original Jurassic Park? Did it have an impact on you?"
Yeah, how could? Yeah, I remember it so vividly. I don't even remember when I watched it, how old I was exactly, but I remember watching it with my family and being blown away by just like the creatures, the actors, the. I mean, Spielberg did a incredible job with that movie. The fact that it stands the test of time to this day. If you turn that movie on, it's going to touch you in the same way that it did when you first watched it. And I think that's a testament to his incredible filmmaking. But I was really, especially at that time, drawn to the actors. I mean, when I think about the movie, I think about the first time that they ever see the dinosaurs, and Sam Neill turn Laura's head, and they're all standing up and just in awe and just taking it all in. And that was kind of me watching the movie.
Speaking of the dinosaurs, we've all kind of gone through a dinosaur phase as
Yeah,
kids and sometimes
I,
older. What was your relationship with dinosaurs growing up?
It's funny you say that because I'm finding that out. I was like, I thought it was just me. I thought I was just the, soul dinosaur nerd. But fortunately, it's everyone. It seems like everyone's had a dinosaur phase. I I was a huge dinosaur fan. As a kid, I grew up near DC, where all these wonderful museums are, including the Museum of Natural History, and I got to see a lot of these things in exhibit, and the fossils, and just explore and learn about them. And sadly, a lot of that knowledge has evaporated. But as I got cast in this movie, I remembered, I was like, oh yeah, I had a huge, incredible love for dinosaurs, and I was obsessed with them as a kid. So it was a real treat to get cast in this movie.
Could you ever have imagined that you would be in a movie like this one day?
No, actually, you know what? This is like a testament. It's like you really never know. You really just never know what's going to happen next. It's crazy.
Well, young Chiso would like to know what was the biggest challenge then for you?
The biggest challenge of this movie, it's hard to call it anything challenging because fundamentally filmmaking is filmmaking, no matter the scale. And sure, there are going to be issues that are unique to the movie, but you know, I, I they made it as comfortable as humanly possible. So the pandemic style of shooting that we've all kind of grown accustomed to since wasn't really challenging. They really made it a very easy environment for us all. Maybe the fact that I was shooting in London and I couldn't go hang out in London and see, but again, all of these things are a little even embarrassing to complain about because champagne problems. It was all very very much a privileged situation to shoot this incredible movie with these incredible people and just have a good time while doing it.
But this was one of the first productions to tackle working during the pandemic. And in
Yeah.
that sense, Anthony Vega says, what was the hardest thing to do? What was it like really doing something that nobody even could have imagined or was really prepared for?
I heard uh, it was again a kind of surreal in a very different way, but Alex Derbyshire and Pat Crowley, they came up with these protocols that I think worked just very, like, even just when they explained how they were going to protect everyone, not just the actors but everyone, that it felt like something that was possible and that we could do safely, and we did. Everyone was pretty much came out fine. So I'm really grateful for the protocols that were put in place because that's what allowed us to make the movie and make the movie safely, most importantly.
Steve Wang from Mirror Media says, "Hi, first of all, I love Archive 81 so much. It's good to see you back on the screen." Uh,
Oh, thank you.
and he asked you about the fact that you're the only one that doesn't seem to be chased by dinosaurs in this movie. How do you feel about that?
Well, look, I did it to myself in a sense. I don't know how much of this was heated, but when I initially met, look, I didn't know what shooting this movie was like. It turns out I loved those scenes. Those are some of my favorite things I've ever done on camera. So I wish I'd had more to do now, but initially I was like, I don't want any parts of that. Just give me I just want to talk and listen to human people and like keep the rest of that because it seemed like a real like an extraordinary challenge, and it turned out to be the most fun. Oh, it was so fun. But yeah, I might be to blame for that.
Douglas Sang says, Mamoudou, what hobbies did you pick up when you made this film? You know, some people took up knitting, coloring. What about you? Did you pick up any hobbies?
While I was shooting, not we played frisbee, which I hadn't played in a long time. But over the course of the pandemic, which is still going on, we I became an avid cyclist. I'm huge into cycling now. Yeah, it's a lot of fun and very meditative. But yeah, not while shooting this movie. I was I was in very much confined in the hotel grounds.
Maybe you didn't take up any hobbies, but I'm sure it was a huge learning experience for you, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, I feel like I grew exponentially as an actor because of the style of filmmaking was something I'd become unaccustomed to, but it also gave me a sense of, oh, yes, I do belong here and I can do this. Even though I knew that before, once you've done a movie of this scale, or once the fact that I'd been able to participate along with these guys that I admired since I was a kid, it certainly did build my confidence in a way that I actually wasn't expecting. It was great.
Alonso Bañuelas from Mundo Hispánico says, will Jurassic Park, and I'm sure world fans, be satisfied with this new film?
I certainly believe so. Certainly hope so. And yeah, I think so.
What did you think when you saw it completed?
Oh, I can't wait to see it again. I can't wait to see it again because, I have to be honest. I was like, am I gonna be okay in this massive movie? But so I'd like to see it again and just really just take it in for what it is without my own neuroses. But I was moved. I was thrilled. I know what's going to happen, in this movie, and I still had like the feeling of like, what's going to happen? Are they going to make it? It's ridiculous, but that's a testament to Colin's filmmaking and everyone in the movie just really giving it their all.
In that sense, and speaking of Colin, Juni Wickman from Episode Finland talks again about changes in the character and how you developed it with Colin, and how did the two of you go through that process?
We just spoke a lot, and he is collaborative by nature, and he took some of my thoughts into consideration in this way that just really grew the character and made it a much more exciting version of him. And yeah, it was just I don't know what Chris was just doing just now. I just heard him saying something crazy. Uh, yeah, no, it was just one of those things where he encouraged every one of us to come to him with ideas, thoughts, and we did, and we'd always discuss it and like how is this serviceable to the movie and like the overall goal that we're trying to communicate, and it was so deeply appreciated by me that he really really cared while we were filming. I mean, he was filming already while we were talking about some of these massive changes in this character. So I always feel grateful for him really taking my concerns into consideration and really implementing them in the way that he did.
Well, I think you make an impact on the movie also, and your character is a new character. But Tamara Cullen is still curious to know about the bonding that you had with the other characters. How did that work?
The other characters like
Yeah, the other actors, both from the first trilogy and then the Jurassic World one too. How was that?
I mean, it was awesome, and we ended up kind of living together, so we got to know each other pretty well. Wow, what a crazy experience that was! But it was really just, it, it just was just you can never forget it because I learned from actors that I admired for such a long time, but also broke bread with them and was inspired by them and just talked to them about this business and what we're interested in making next, or how we're going to get through this whole situation that the world is in. So I felt like yeah, I'll never forget these times, and I'll look back on them fondly.
Well, just to wrap it up, a question from Mumtaj, the Star Malaysia. What do you hope audiences will take away from this, especially as there is kind of a message there about maybe caring more and taking care about our environment and nature and the planet that we live in? So what do you expect in that sense that audiences will take away from this, apart from, of course, the big spectacle, the entertainment, and everything else that it offers?
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think there is a epidemic of greed in the world that's kind of just consuming so many people. And I feel like there is a fundamental message of, sometimes you have to take a step back and look what's in everyone's best interests. And actually, including your own. I like to use this phrase that I learned a long time ago: enlightened self-interest, because you can have all the money in the world, build up, like, let's say, Dodgson's locusts, but soon there won't be a world to enjoy all that money in. So what's the point? And I would encourage people to, like, look at that message that you also apparently felt and try to do the right thing. I always get a little embarrassed, but I really do feel that way. But yeah, do the right thing.
Such a pleasure to have you here with us, Mamoudou. Congratulations and thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Nice seeing you again as well. Thanks so much.
Thanks.